Oh, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the channel and welcome to this week's video, which is not an adventure. But as always, it is adventure related in some sense. This is the preparation to all adventures. I thought that I would take a minute and go through the stuff that I use to camp. And not just camp, but backpacking, through hiking, and even weekend adventures. I'm not too sure where to start exactly, so I guess we'll just go with some clothes. For your feet, most important, you're gonna want some merino wool or super wool socks. Tall ones, short ones, that's more on preference as opposed to purpose. And then the rest really depends on the climate you're walking into. If you're in heat, you're gonna want something short, ultra light, dries out quick, wicks moisture off your body, and keeps yourself cool. And then obviously if you're in the winter conditions, you're gonna want something a little heavier. The pants I'm wearing now are also a good fit for hiking. They're lightweight, they dry out quick, and they're just really comfortable all around to wear. So with that being said, these are ex officio. The other brand is also, I think, Cool, K-U-H-L-E. Tons of brands make, you know, very similar pants. It's just a lightweight material, but just your typical long pant style. Socks, a lot of these are just from REI Co-op. And then Duluth Trading Company. Duluth is pretty awesome because as soon as you put a hole in them, they're gonna replace them for free, no questions asked. And on top of that, they're not easy to put holes in. And then for the pants, I went with just Russells from Walmart. They're ultra light, they dry out quick like I mentioned earlier. That's all you need, honestly. For a shirt, it's the same thing, just a light athletic shirt. Long sleeve is best for the UV protection. Even in the summer, the long sleeve is fine. It doesn't overheat you as long as you're familiar with how to wear and use certain certain clothing options. Another option is just your typical buff. A lighter color is better, and all of them you can get wet and wear it on top of your head, around your neck, like a beard or whatever, and all that keeps you cooler. It's all, you know, everything we need for the summertime. So for rain and even wind, like I'm experiencing now, you're gonna need layers. I went with the Outdoor Research, relatively inexpensive. These are rain pants. They work perfectly for wind as well. Dual purpose, save some weight. And I also went with a Patagonia top. It works really well for the rain, obviously, and wind too. And I'd say the next element is going to be the sun itself. Just a basic hat of some sort is perfect, or an actual sun hat like this with the neck visor. All that works perfectly. I'm going to go with a mesh back for the air ventilation, or I'm gonna go with a lightweight fabric that's gonna dry out quick, just like the rest of my stuff. Another idea is these Thermarest sitting pads. They're really nice. You can actually use them for sleeping too, not as the main support, but you can throw this with your sleep pad or whatever, and it does add an extra layer. But while we were talking about keeping cool, platypus bags are pretty good. Sawyer filters kind of seem to be the go-to. The minis flow a lot slower than the large ones, so a lot of people are just going with the extra weight, sticking with the large one. Well, with all that talk about hydration, now I'm a little bit hungry, so let's talk about that. So depending where you're going and what you're doing, you're gonna have different options for the different scenarios. Number one, if you're on the Tahoe Rim Trail or similar, you're gonna want something like a bare container itself, bare canister, or a scent-proof bag. What I use in general, which is not either of those, is just a Zpacks Cuban fiber Dyneema bag. It's got plenty of storage capacity. for whatever I want. It's waterproof, so it'll seal all my stuff from rodents and weather for sure. And inside you'll have a rock bag. Fill the bag with rocks, and you got a relatively lightweight rope that you'll string over a tree limb to keep it out of the hands of bears. And the fun topic related to eating is the controversial cold soak or cook your meal. And so that's an interesting one. Me personally, I'm a cook my meal kind of guy. I like warm meals, and on trail I'm gonna be the same way. I feel like cold soak, I don't know, takes a different mentality in my opinion, and I think you're either for it or you're against it, that's for sure. So cooking wise, you've got a couple options. Most of your containers are all very similar, so that's not very controversial. But one is your pocket stoves. The MSR pocket rocket or the BSR pocket rocket are good additions. You just got your fuel canister on the bottom, set your pot on top, and boom, you've got a meal in a few minutes. Their downside is they use a lot of fuel. They take some amount of time to finally boil water. Last time I remember, I think it was at least 5 minutes or over 5 minutes. And that's only, I think I usually do about a liter or liter and a half. So 3 cups of water is usually, for my meals, what I'm familiar with. Your other option is your MSR windproof or whatever their series is. So wind like this doesn't matter. You're gonna have wind issues with your pocket rockets for sure. So I don't have to carry a windbreak of any kind because it's built in. However, it does weigh a little more. Think about that one. They work well. Like I just mentioned, they're very efficient. They're windproof, and I boil a liter and a half of water in less than 2.5 minutes. That's pretty impressive. And then as for a pot itself, I prefer a larger pot with a bigger diameter for several reasons. One, cooking and stirring I find easier than in a smaller pot. My 650 milliliter I find to be annoying to use. Maybe an 800 or 750 or an 800 would be better, or a 1 liter. This is a 1.5 liter. It's a little oversized, but it's only 1/4 ounce of wasted weight or additional weight. But the ease with this is cleaning it out is a breeze. I can get into all the nooks and crannies down there, and that's a big deal to me. My 650 milliliter, I have trouble getting into the actual crease down here in the corner of the pot. So it's something to think about, as well as the volume of food you're limited. So like 1 cup of ramen, okay, yeah, you can do 1 packet of ramen, but you cannot make a ramen bomb in a 650 milliliter cup. All stuff to think about. So being so large like this, I am about 1/4 ounce overweight, but I think it has its trade-offs. And it also allows me to carry the pocket rocket as a backup in case my windproof has a failure internally or whatever. So it's a pretty long discussion about the meal prep, but I think that's important because the meal is the most important thing aside from water and hydration itself. So with that being said, most of us will be making meals at least at sunset or even after dark, and it's important to have light with you. El Cheapo headlamp is perfect for me. I don't need anything fancy. This one probably cost me less than $15 and it works perfectly. I also like a headlamp that has a red setting to it. Personal preference, does cost a little extra money. On top of that, I like these solar lanterns. I think they're Lucy or Lucky is the brand. I call them Lucy, and they work really well. Most of these on a full charge last 24 hours. And I mean, yeah, you can go days using them for sure. Well, And now that we're talking about nighttime, and let's talk about a sleep system. So under the tent itself, I'm going to use a protective liner. That's the Tyvek home wrap. You can usually find it for free on any job site. When you find a neighborhood being built, just swing up there when they're wrapping the house with that stuff. And right before lunchtime, you can ask them if you can get the last section of what they're working with. So I've trimmed this down to fit the base of my Zpacks duplex tent. Extremely light Dyneema or Cuban fiber tent. It's a 2-person tent, and I like that so that I can keep my pack inside. I can take my shoes off, leave them under the rain drape or whatever, and 2-person just gives you a lot of room. If you're rained out for the day and you're taking a Zero or a Nero, it's going to be nice to hang out in the larger room as opposed to like a Solplex or a single person tent in general. All right, well, while you're in there, what the heck are you going to sleep on? Well, I like the idea of something lightweight, like an inflatable mattress. I am a side sleeper, so inflatable mattresses are definitely a plus over a foam pad like the one that I sit on. The Sea to Summit is my go-to, and there are several reasons. Number one is filling that thing up takes no effort whatsoever. And at the end of a long day, 15, 20, 25 miles of hiking, the last thing I want to do is sit there and blow up an inflatable mattress. Now this thing doesn't have any special way to inflate it, but it is super easy. Two pumps, it's full, and just like the inflatable mat itself, the valve is adjustable. So if it's too inflated, you can always lose some air. Now I mentioned the controversial topic of cold soaking over using a stove to heat your food or cook your food. I would say inflatable mattress over a sleeping pad itself is not controversial. That comes down to, are you a side sleeper or a back sleeper? Side sleepers always stick to the inflatable mattresses. Another controversial topic would be a down quilt or a sleeping bag. I think sleeping bags are unnecessary weight. They're pretty old school, and that's what we all grew up using. But down quilts are the way to go, or synthetic quilts even are the way to go. It's a lot closer to using a blanket like we all do at our house on a normal basis, and you can always wrap it around you to get any air protection that you need to hold in the warmth. But they're ultra lightweight and there's no unnecessary fabric, and I think that's very wise if you're putting on miles. Well, now that I have this mess sprawled out right here, let's do a little bit of demonstration. And this is where the wind is actually beneficial, because on trail, you're not going to have every night being calm. So I'm not going to touch up too much on this in this video at all, but use common sense when you find a campsite. You know, if you're under trees, make sure they're not dead. Or if you're having violent winds like this, reconsider being under any tree, because a branch could always fall, and it's literally happened before. Okay, the struggle is real. That was actually quite a bit of a struggle, but no big deal, because it still only took about 5 minutes, maybe 6. Yeah, so this is it. Zpacks duplex, ain't nothing to it. As basic as it gets. It's all symmetrical. There's a door on that side, door on this side. It's all matching. Yeah, not too bad. The fabric itself is Dyneema or Cuban fiber. It's extremely strong for how lightweight it actually is. That's pretty cool. I've never experienced this stuff before, but man, is it the go-to for hiking. Aside from that, so you've got the air ventilation up under there to prevent condensation buildup while you're sleeping. And yeah, with the 2 doors, one on each side, it makes it just really easy if you have 2 people. And then, like I mentioned before, the extra space is just for the comfort. To me, it was worth the added weight. And yeah, I mean, this opens up too, that flap. Yeah, I mean, it's just a really cool setup in general. So far, I'm going on my 4th year with that tent. It's only seen light use on the weekends throughout the past few years, but I'm hoping this year to ramp it up and actually get some miles with the whole setup. So you know, quality wise, it's already held up really well. No, it's a pretty good tent. So the Sea to Summit sleeping pad and the pillow itself, they both have that same, it's a dual valve. So first valve is this one. Boom. Okay. And then the second one dumps all your air pretty much instantaneously. And that makes rolling it up pretty easy. It rolls back up into its bag, into the bag itself, and then the bag itself connects. So as far as the down quilt goes, this is the Enlightened Equipment Enigma. It features a toe box down here so your feet slip in, and then all this is open on your sleep pad, like so, and the rest works just like a blanket. It's pretty easy, down packs really tightly. It doesn't work well in the rain though, so keep that in mind. You probably need a synthetic if you're somewhere humid like Florida, Georgia, somewhere in the south. So, not bad, huh? What else would you need for a good night's sleep? So the only things not in the pack right at the moment are going to be my toiletry bag, which I'm sure is less than half a pound. There's nothing to it. It's a Dyneema bag. The trowel itself weighs only a few ounces. Yeah, so I'm gonna say probably less than half a pound there. And then I'll also have like a USB charging, like an Anchor charger, power cables, 4 GoPro batteries, SD cards, the GoPro itself. Obviously that adds up too. So I am missing a little bit of weight. I'd also probably have a down jacket, which I don't have right now. So with that said, I'm gonna weigh the pack, but I think it's gonna be about 1.5 pounds short of the truth. And here we go. So pack weight is everything you're gonna carry minus water, food, and fuel for your stove. So we'll go ahead and weigh everything else. Come over to the sun. How's that? All right, that actually makes me smile. So pack weight's probably closer to about 12 pounds, which I think that's awesome. Pack weight really comes down to, are you gonna have a good time or not? Are you carrying heavy ass crap the entire time, or are you comfortable? And 12 pounds, that's comfortable. That is not bad. Well, hope you enjoyed how this gear walkthrough turned out. If you have any questions about the gear or upcoming adventures involving the gear, be sure to comment down below. Aside from that, be sure to hit that like button if you liked the video, subscribe if you want to see some more of these adventures, and y'all have a good work week, have a good weekend, and we'll see you next Tuesday with some other something.